The letter. She never read. The house had grown too quiet. It wasn't the kind of silence that comforted. It was the silence that pressed down on you, filled the corners of your chest, and reminded you of everything that was missing. Once, the little house on the edge of the village had been alive with voices, children running in and out, the clatter of dishes in the kitchen, her husband's laughter echoing down the hall. But now, all that remained was the hum of the ceiling fan and the faint creak of old wooden furniture. Amina sat by the window in her armchair, her scarf neatly pinned under her chin. The late afternoon sun spilled across the floor, catching the dust motes floating in the air like fragments of memory. She held a notebook in her lap, the same one she had been using for years now. The cover was worn at the edges, and the pages smelled faintly of ink and age. She uncapped her pen, hesitated for a moment, then began to write. My dear children, it has been 3 weeks since I last heard from any of you. Perhaps life is busy, and I do not wish to complain. I only hope you are well. I hope you are eating on time, sleeping enough, and keeping your faith strong. I pray for you every night. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still hear your laughter echoing in this house. I wonder if you remember it the way I do. Her handwriting was slow, but steady. Each letter curved with care, as if she were sewing her words into fabric that might last longer than she did. She paused, pressed the pen to her lips, and thought for a moment. Then she continued. I miss you, more than I can say. Sometimes the walls here feel like they are listening to me, holding my secrets when I whisper them out loud. But walls cannot answer back. I wonder if my letters will ever find you, or if I will keep writing to this notebook as if it were you. Either way, it comforts me to write. The kettle whistled in the kitchen, snapping her out of her thoughts. She rose slowly, joints stiff from age, and poured herself a small cup of tea. She sat back down and sipped, staring out at the garden that was once her pride. The roses hadn't bloomed properly this year. The weeds were creeping in. Still, she found comfort in their stubbornness, their ability to grow even in neglect. As she sipped, memories rose unbidden. Her youngest daughter running barefoot through that very garden, shrieking with laughter as her brothers chased her. Her husband planting the first rosebush by the fence, his hands stained with soil but his eyes shining. She could still hear him saying, This house will always be full of life, Amina. We will make sure of it. She closed her eyes. The silence pressed harder. Later that evening, she prepared a small dinner for herself. Just one plate, one glass, one spoon. It felt strange every time. For so many years, she had cooked for a household of 6, her husband and their 4 children. Now the table sat empty, the other chairs neatly tucked in, untouched. She ate slowly, every bite tasting of loneliness more than flavor. After dinner, she tidied up, washed her dish, and returned to her chair. Her body ached, but her mind wandered restlessly. She reached again for the box, opened it, and took out one of the older letters. The date on the top corner read 2005. She read it softly, as though the words belonged to someone else. To my beloved children, today was your father's birthday. I cooked his favorite meal, though he is no longer here to enjoy it. I wanted to tell you that I sat by the window afterward, waiting for one of you to call, to say you remembered. But the phone did not ring. Still, I prayed for each of you, and I know that is enough. Her eyes stung, but no tears fell. She had grown used to this ache. It had carved itself into her heart long ago, and now it was simply a part of her. She folded the letter and slipped it back into the box, laying it gently atop the others. Night settled in. The house grew darker, quieter. She switched on the small lamp beside her bed and sat for a while, staring at the ceiling. Sometimes she imagined footsteps in the hall, voices calling her name, the sound of a door opening. But it was always just her imagination. Before lying down, she whispered a prayer for each of her children by name. She prayed for their health, their success, their happiness. She prayed they would remember her not with guilt, but with love. And as sleep slowly claimed her, she thought of the box of letters, her hidden treasure, her silent conversations with the children who no longer came home. Tomorrow, she would write again. The next morning, Amina woke before the sun. The house was still dark, the sky outside just beginning to pale. She lay in bed for a while, listening to the distant call of the muezzin. She whispered her prayers, her voice quiet but steady, then sat up and wrapped her shawl around her shoulders. She boiled water for tea, set out a single biscuit, and carried her cup to the table by the window. It was her routine now. Tea, quiet, and a letter. She pulled the wooden box closer, lifting the lid with both hands as if it were something sacred. Inside, the letters were stacked neatly, some in envelopes, some loose sheets folded carefully. She pulled out a blank page, smoothed it against the table, and began to write. My dear children, today I thought of the day we first moved into this house. You were all so small. Do you remember? The rooms echoed with emptiness then, but you filled them with noise and laughter. Your father and I painted the walls ourselves. The paint dripped down our arms, and you ran about, getting it on your clothes. I scolded you, but inside, I was smiling. Even now, when I see the faint marks on the skirting boards, I think of your little hands smudging paint where it should not have been. Your father worked so hard to make this house a home. Do you know he built the shelves in the sitting room with his own hands? Every nail, every plank, he placed with care. He said, Amina, one day our children will fill these shelves with books and they will study hard and they will become something. He was right, wasn't he? You all studied, you all went away to build your lives. I am proud of you. I hope you know that. I only wish your father could see it too. Her pen lingered at the edge of the page. She could see him even now, sleeves rolled up, sawdust in his hair, sweat on his forehead as he worked tirelessly in the garden or repaired a broken chair. He had been a man of few words, but his love had been steady and strong. Amina folded the letter and placed it gently in the box. Then she reached for another, not blank, but one written years ago, one she hadn't read in a long time. Letter dated 1999. My dear children, your school fees are paid for another term. It was not easy. I had to sell my bangles, the gold ones your grandmother gave me on my wedding day. But it does not matter. What matters is that you will continue your studies. I want you to have a life where choices are open to you, where you do not have to depend on anyone. If you ever succeed, remember that it came with sacrifice. Not because I regret it, never. But because I want you to know that love sometimes looks like giving up what you treasure most. As she read the old letter, her lips trembled. She remembered the day she had gone to the goldsmith, the weight of the bangles in her hand, the memory of her mother fastening them on her wrists. She had walked home with empty hands, but a strange sense of peace. The next day, her children had gone to school with their fees paid in full, unaware of what she had traded for their future. She smiled faintly now, though her eyes blurred. Later in the day, when the sun had risen higher and the air grew warmer, she took out another blank sheet. My dear children, do you remember the nights when the electricity would go out? We would light candles, and you would all gather around me, begging for a story. I told you tales of heroes and travelers, of queens who ruled with wisdom and kindness, of prophets whose patience shaped the world. I remember your wide eyes in the candlelight, your hands clutching at each other in excitement. I wonder if you tell your own children stories now. Do they know the ones I told you? Or have they been forgotten, like so many small things from childhood? She sighed deeply as she wrote. That evening, she cooked lentils and rice, her simplest meal. As the lentils simmered, she thought back to the years when she would spend hours in the kitchen, kneading dough, frying onions, preparing enough food to fill all the hungry mouths that crowded her table. She had never complained of the work then. It had been her joy, her way of showing love. She set her plate on the table and glanced at the empty chairs. Sometimes she imagined her children there again, the eldest teasing his younger brother, the girls whispering secrets to each other. She could almost hear the laughter bouncing off the walls, but when she blinked, the vision faded. After dinner, she reached again for the box, This time, she pulled out a letter she had never finished. Undated, unfinished letter. My beloved daughter, I heard you are struggling with your marriage. I wanted to tell you that it is not weakness to feel tired. When I was your age, I often cried quietly in the kitchen so no one would see. Marriage is not easy. It asks for patience, sacrifice, and sometimes silence. But it also gives companionship, safety, and the chance to build something together. I wish you would come and sit with me. I would hold your hands and tell you that you are stronger than you think. The letter stopped mid-sentence. Her daughter had called her that evening, briefly, hurriedly. She had assured her mother she was fine, just busy. And then the line had gone dead. Amina had folded the letter away, unfinished, unsure if her words were needed. Now, years later, she traced the last written line with her finger. Her daughter had never come. The days began to blur into each other. Her children rarely called. Weeks stretched into months without a word. When the phone did ring, it was hurried. Ami, I'm sorry, I'm busy at work, I'll call again soon. Ami, the children are sick, I can't come this weekend. Ami, life in the city is just so fast, you wouldn't understand. She always said the same thing in reply. It's all right, my dear. Take care of yourself one afternoon, she wrote again. My dear children, I waited by the phone last Sunday, hoping to hear your voices. I thought perhaps one of you would remember it was my birthday. But the day passed quietly. It is not your fault. How can I expect you to remember when your lives are so full? I do not mind. Birthdays are not so important at my age. What matters is knowing you are well. Still, I lit a small candle for myself. I sat by it and thought of the days when you would gather around me, singing Happy Birthday, Ami, in your sweet little voices. I can still hear it if I close my eyes. Her lips trembled. Lately, her chest had begun to feel tight when she moved too quickly. She told no one. Weeks later, her eldest son called. His voice was brisk, professional. Ami, listen, I've been promoted. Big news. But it means I won't be able to visit this year. Too much travel, too many responsibilities. You understand, don't you? Her heart lifted at the news, even as it broke. Of course, my son. I am proud of you. Always proud. She hung up and reached for the box. My dear son, I am so happy for you. I prayed for this day many times. I knew you were capable of great things. Still, my heart aches that you cannot come. The house feels emptier with every year that passes. Promise me you will eat well, sleep enough, and take care of yourself. A promotion is good, but health is better. I pray for you every night, even if you forget me in your prayers. Her youngest daughter called another time. Ami, I wanted to come, but the children's exams are this month. Maybe after, okay? Don't be upset. I am not upset, Amina said, forcing brightness into her tone. But after she hung up, she sat for a long while in the dark. My dear daughter, I understand. Children must come first. I only wish I could see them more often, hear their laughter here in this house. I have grown old, my dear. I may not have many years left. Sometimes, I wonder if I will be here to see their weddings, to hold their children in my arms. If not, remember this. I loved you all more than my own life. Every sacrifice I made was for you. That is enough for me. Her health worsened slowly. She tired easily now. Climbing the short staircase left her breathless. Sometimes she sat halfway up, gripping the banister, whispering a prayer before continuing. But she never told her children. She never wanted them to worry. Instead, she wrote, My dear children, the doctor says I should rest more. I smile and nod, but I know what rest means at this age. It means waiting, waiting for the day when Allah calls me home. Do not fear that day. If I leave, I will leave with peace in my heart, knowing I did my best for you. I only hope you will remember me with kindness, not regret. One stormy evening, the electricity cut out. She sat at the table, pen in hand, listening to the rain. My dear children, tonight the house feels lonelier than ever. The rain used to be something we enjoyed together. Do you remember? We would sit by the window, watching the drops race down the glass. Your father would make tea, and you would laugh, trying to guess which raindrop would reach the bottom first. Tonight, there is no laughter. Only the sound of the storm and my own heart beating in the silence. I wonder if you remember these little things, or have they all washed away like rain on glass? She closed her eyes and whispered, Ya Allah, let them remember me kindly. The winter came early that year. The nights grew longer, and the cold seeped through the walls. Amina's health weakened. Sometimes she woke in the night with her breath shallow, as if life itself were slipping quietly away. She told no one. One evening, she sat by the window, watching the last leaves fall. She reached for her pen. This time the words came slowly, painfully, as though each one carried a piece of her soul. My beloved children, this may be the last letter I write. My hands are weak, my breath shorter with every passing day. Do not be afraid when I am gone. Death is not an ending, but a return to the one who gave us life. I only pray that I leave behind love enough to guide you, even when I am not here. There are things I have never told you. When you were small, I often went hungry so you could eat your fill. When money was scarce, I stitched my old clothes into new ones for you, pretending they were gifts. When your father passed away, I stayed awake night after night, whispering prayers that you would not feel the hole his absence left. You never knew these things, and I never told you, because love does not ask for thanks. Sometimes, I wondered if you noticed how quiet the house became after you left. I waited by the window on Eid mornings, hoping one of you would come through the door. I prepared dishes you loved, kept sweets ready in jars. Most times the food went untouched. Still, I did not mind. Hope itself was enough to keep me going. If you read this after I am gone, know this. I never blamed you. Life takes us in many directions, and perhaps mine was meant to end in silence. But silence does not erase love. Even in the loneliest nights, my prayers wrapped around you like a blanket. Even in my emptiest days, my heart carried you like a treasure. Do not cry for me. Instead, live kindly. Speak gently to your own children, and when they are grown, remember to visit them, to hold them, to listen when they speak. Do not let distance turn into silence, as it did with us. Above all, remember Allah, for He is the one who never leaves, the one who hears even the letters we never read. I will leave this box of letters behind. It is filled with my heart, written across the years. If you choose to read them, let them remind you that you were loved beyond measure. If you do not, that is all right too. My love does not depend on your eyes, only on my heart. Goodbye, my children. I pray we meet again in a place where there is no loneliness, no silence, only light. She folded the letter, placed it in the wooden box, and whispered, Now it is finished. Days later, she slipped into sleep and did not wake. The house was not silent anymore. After years of stillness, voices filled the rooms again. The doors opened and closed. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The kitchen bustled with clattering dishes. But the one voice missing was the one that had waited all these years. Amina's children had come home. They came not for her smile, not for her embrace, but for her funeral. The neighbors had called them, their voices heavy with pity. Your mother. She passed away peacefully in her sleep. One by one, the children arrived. Her eldest son, his suit pressed but his face weary from the city. Her daughters with their children in tow. Her youngest son, quieter than usual, guilt tugging at his eyes. The funeral was simple. The neighbors gathered, whispered kind words about Amina's patience, her kindness, her prayers for everyone she met. The imam spoke of her faith, her sacrifices. Her children listened with lowered heads, but each word pierced deeper than they cared to admit. When the burial was done and the mourners left, the siblings returned to the house. The home felt strange to them, familiar, yet distant. Dust clung to the corners, the furniture slightly out of place, the air heavy with the scent of old wood and faint rosewater. The children wandered the rooms quietly, each lost in memory. It feels smaller, the eldest daughter whispered, running her fingers over the windowsill. No, said the younger son softly. It feels emptier. They gathered in the sitting room. On the side table, near Amina's chair by the window, sat the wooden box. Its lid was closed, but it seemed to draw their eyes, as though it were waiting. The youngest daughter reached for it. Her hand hesitated over the lid. Do you think she left something for us? The eldest son sighed. It's just an old box, probably keepsakes. But his voice lacked certainty. When they opened it, the air seemed to shift. Inside lay the letters, dozens, perhaps hundreds, carefully folded, stacked in order, some in envelopes, some loose. The handwriting was instantly recognizable, the neat curved script of their mother. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, the youngest daughter picked up one letter and unfolded it. Her voice broke as she read aloud, My dear children, it has been 3 weeks since I last heard from any of you. Perhaps life is busy and I do not wish to complain. I only hope you are well. I hope you are eating on time, sleeping enough, and keeping your faith strong. Her voice faltered. Tears blurred her vision. She passed the letter to her brother, who read the rest in silence, his jaw tightening with every word. They opened another and another, letters about birthdays spent alone, about quiet Eid mornings waiting for footsteps that never came, about sacrifices they had never known, gold bangles sold, meals skipped, prayers whispered in the night. Each page was a mirror reflecting their absence. The eldest son pressed a hand to his eyes. All these years, she was waiting for us. The younger son whispered, She never told us. She never asked. She didn't have to, said the eldest daughter, her voice trembling. She wrote it here. She told us everything. And we never listened. The grandchildren, too young to understand the full weight of the moment, sat quietly in the corner, watching their parents cry. They had never seen them like this before. One of the boys picked up a letter and asked, Is this from Nana? His mother nodded, unable to speak. What does it say? The boy asked. The father swallowed hard and read a portion aloud. Sometimes. I wondered if you noticed how quiet the house became after you left. I waited by the window on Eid mornings, hoping one of you would come through the door. I prepared dishes you loved, kept sweets ready in jars. Most times the food went untouched. Still, I did not mind. Hope itself was enough to keep me going. The boy's small face crumpled. She was alone? Yes, his father whispered. Yes, she was. Night fell. The siblings sat together, surrounded by the letters, as if their mother's voice filled the room at last. They read until their eyes burned, until their hands shook from turning so many fragile pages. At the very bottom of the box lay the final letter, folded neatly, the ink still fresh compared to the others. They opened it together. My beloved children, this may be the last letter I write. My hands are weak, my breath shorter with every passing day. Do not be afraid when I am gone. Death is not an ending, but a return to the one who gave us life. The words blurred through their tears. When they reached the end, silence filled the room. The youngest daughter pressed the paper to her chest. Why didn't we come sooner? No one answered. Over the next few days they sorted through her belongings. Every corner of the house spoke of her patience. Neatly folded clothes, carefully stored spices, prayer beads worn smooth from years of use. The garden outside still clung to life, though the roses had thinned. The children promised each other they would tend it, but in their hearts they knew how easily promises faded. On their final night in the house, they sat together one last time. The letters lay in a pile on the table between them. The eldest son spoke softly. We can't change the past. But we can keep her words. We can live differently. We can be present, for each other, for our own children. The younger son nodded, and we will never let her be forgotten. They agreed to divide the letters, each taking a portion to keep, so that her voice would remain with them always. When they left the house, locking the door behind them, the silence returned. But it was not the same silence as before. Now it was heavy with memory, with words finally read, with love finally understood. The wooden box was gone, but its echo remained in every corner, in every wall that had once listened to her whispered prayers. And though Amina herself was gone, her children carried her with them at last. Not in her presence, but in her letters, in the love she had left behind. For the first time, they truly heard her voice. But it was too late.